All right, so here's my update with Turo. Anybody that watched my videos in the past knew that I always said on August the 1st of this year would be one fiscal year with Turo, and I would make a decision as to will I go forward and grow or I'm getting out. So after evaluating everything, here's a few factors that led into my decision to leave Turo and to go into insurance, which was something I had been thinking about for a while. But I think the number one thing was for me was my time. The time I had to invest in keeping up the vehicles. And I know what some people gonna say, you could have paid somebody to clean them, you could have paid somebody to call. It wasn't enough money in that. From the bottom line to be paying somebody else to do all those things. Although is other ways around that, but I didn't have those other ways at my disposal. I financed each vehicle, so I had to pay the monthly payment plus the insurance. And with that being said, from my work background, I'm used to making a very substantial amount of money every year. So the Turo money had to make sense versus my experience and my career and education. And it just wasn't adding up. After everything's said and done with all the Turo expenses, the car payment, the insurance, the maintenance, and let me tell you this, I had 3 broke windshields. The third one really, really broke me. But I had 3 broke windshields within a couple of months span. And I was on the 75 plan, so, which meant I had to pay the deductible. So that deductible was, the cost of a windshield versus deductible, that's an out-of-pocket expense. So 3 of those, and within that same time frame, a regular basis, cars just being brought back in terrible condition. One lady wastes like a gallon of water in the trunk. She had to do it early on in the trip. She had the vehicle for about a week. Brought it back, the car smelled like trash. It had to be cleaned like 3 times to get the smell out. And I had to pull it off the platform to do that, because who wants to rent a smelly car? I had a regular client base. Customers were not an issue. It could have been a little better, but it wasn't an issue because I had people within a 5-mile radius that rented my cars on a regular basis. But most people that rented, they went to Florida. So, 3-4 day trip. They put 2,000-3,000 miles on the car in a 3-4 day trip. And not only that, when they come back, it's full of sand. And you can't charge a cleaning fee for sand. I don't know if you ever tried to get sand out of a vehicle. It is not fun. Let me try to get in a better angle for this sun. It is not fun trying to get sand out of a vehicle. It takes time. And again, I'm a person about the bottom line. So, I had my own dry vac. I did all the cleaning myself. So I wasn't going to pay nobody to do it. But it was just a lot more time. On top of that, every other trip came back with stained seats. People, kids in the back seat. I had everything from crayon to soda to food. And any Turo host will tell you, Turo is pro-customer. It has to be a substantial amount of cleaning that need to be done to charge a cleaning fee. And 90% of your rides also brought the vehicles back smelling like marijuana. You can't even you can't rent the vehicle out with a marijuana smell. And most of the time, it takes 2-3 days to get the marijuana smell out. Unless you pay some type of professional, which again, will hit your bottom line. So I did that myself. Can't put that vehicle on the platform for 2-3 days. And again, I'm gonna say 8 out of every 10 trips, they smoke weed in the car. Couldn't charge the smoking fee because you have to have some type of proof. You have to prove that they were smoking marijuana in the vehicle, which means they have to leave like some blunt papers, some marijuana residue or whatnot, which is extremely difficult to prove. Again, Turo is pro customer. So with everything said and done, that's just the tip of the iceberg. This sun is right in my face. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Just a few examples of what you deal with on a regular basis, which is a time killer, a bottom line net profit killer. Everything said and done in that year, I made money, but I just didn't make nowhere near what I'm used to. Okay, my gross number for one fiscal year in Turo was $27,135, and that's for 4 vehicles. Really 3. I only kept 3 on the platform at a time, but I had 4 that was actually on Turo. And I did a total of 158 trips. Needs to say, that was the gross number. So if you take out all of the expenses, I'll let you do the math. Car note, insurance, deductibles for damage to the vehicles, tires brought back with nails in them, punctured tires, needing to buy tires, you name it. Cleaning supplies. I've never washed so many cars in a year in my life. Now, I'm not knocking Turo. This is my experience because a lot of people they are very successful at Turo. So this is just my experience and my takeaway from it. But I had to make a decision at the 1 year mark. I gave it a whole year. I like the concept of being on my own. I still have a small business on the side as well. I have a skincare line, which sometimes I might introduce some of the products on the channel. But with that said and done, I had to make a decision, and my decision was to move forward. Now, I had been thinking about insurance probably for a few years. So I started interviewing, got my resume out back out in the corporate America and started interviewing. I had an interview with Allstate, and they made me an offer for a path to agent program. But before I could start, which is why I'm so late making these videos, before I could start, I had to study and pass the state exam to get my insurance license. I studied pretty much all day, every day. I woke up at like 5 in the morning studying. Then, I went throughout my work day, and I studied at night before I went to bed. And you have to take the pre-test course as well. But I studied the course, finished the course, passed the end of course exam, and then you can go take the state exam. So I tried to cram it all in 1 week the first time, and I went and I missed the exam by 2 points. So I scheduled a retest 2 weeks later after that, and I realized that, the test wasn't the easy as I thought it was going to be. I'm used to being able to just cram and go in and kill it, but it was a lot of information to cram into 1 week. But needless to say, I trimmed my techniques and studied hard, and I tore it apart the second time because I knew what to expect. There was a few different questions, but for the most part, I knew what to expect. So I got my property and casualty insurance license, and then started my position at Allstate like a week after that. So I started Allstate earlier this month, I think September the 5th. Of course, it's some training. You have to get your training done with Allstate. Allstate University and whatnot. I just started selling policies this week. Today is Friday. Last Friday was my first day starting to, be able to land my own policies. And it's just a matter of learning all the rules and getting the verbiage down when you're talking to the customers. But yesterday, Thursday, I sold my first policy, and I actually sold 2 policies yesterday. 2 policies on my first day selling a policy, and I think I got like 2 or 3 lined up today. So I'm feeling real good about it. But I had to make a decision best for me. Now I know what the number 1 question was. What did you do with those cars you financed? You ain't it gonna mess your credit up if you send them back? Yes. So for anybody thinking about getting in Turo and financing a vehicle, if you finance the vehicle, here's my number 1 mistake that I made, because the whole thing is, if I can help somebody from making the same mistake. I bought the vehicles at the peak of the industry, when the price of vehicles had scaled up real high. And then, recently it came back down to normal. So pretty much they were voluntary repossessions when I gave them back. And if you know anything about a repossession, is you're accountable for the difference. So the difference of what I owed on the vehicle versus what they sold it for, you have to pay the difference in that. So I'm going to be accountable for the difference in the vehicles that I sent back. But I feel like I just had to pull the trigger, and I'm good at betting on me. I'm at a point in my life I'm confident in me and my abilities. So I'm gonna handle it. It was a mistake. I made a mistake. I'm a very ambitious person. It's probably not gonna be the last mistake. I made a whole bunch of them. But at the same time, I've grown with each experience. So I'm gonna pay it, to keep it from destroying my credit for too long. My whole thing now is to master my craft in this insurance game. So I want to master my craft in this insurance game and get my own agency, and the sky's the limit from there. But shoot me any questions if you have any questions. But with that being said and done, being a Turo host, we insure your vehicles, and it's not what you think. We don't. Allstate don't run from Turo hosts. So hit me up. Let me run the rates for you, and see if I can give you a good deal. What can you lose? Shoot me a message. We'll set up a time between Monday and Friday, between 9 and 6, and I'll get your information in, get your quote, and we'll get you hooked up. But that's my journey with Turo. It was a unique experience. I learned a lot about that business as well as insurance. And now I'm just on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm an insurance agent now. So reach out to me. Thanks.